Hello there guys, Elita Legionarii here, and today I am bringing you a 3 vs 3 31k for Rome Total War. Now this battle was a pretty much all Heaven game, and it consists of myself for the Heaven clan, AdmiralDB of the Heaven clan, with the Brutii Romans, myself with the Julii of course, Biscuits with the Greek cities, and the fourth player was, Macedon under the command of Koda. So there were 4 Heaven players here, so most of us were Heaven. The only non-Heaven members were Brotherhood members Gladius with the Scipii Romans, and Brotherhood member Spartan Commander with Carthage. So in this battle, because we got several pike factions, we've got Carthage, Macedon and Greece, that should theoretically give us the cavalry advantage with Rome. However, companion cavalry do have a superior charge, but I do find the Praetorian cavalry overall more useful, as they don't tend. The companions should go secondary on the cav charge, but the Praetorians generally seem to be an all-round more useful unit in that regard. So what I've done in this battle is, because I saw that 2 of our opponents were pikes, and I know Carthage will not bring cavalry because Carthaginian cavalry is not generally used. It doesn't mean it's never used, but it's not generally used, and if there's a Spartan player on the opposite team like Biscuits here, it's never going to be used because he'll be building his build to counter the Greek cities. So what I've done is I've used a build I use here which reduces infantry in favour of putting extra upgrades on my cavalry. So I've only got 12 urban cohorts and a town watch to make up an extra pillar screen, and my pillar screens are only on silver upgrades, not gold, so they're not as effective as they otherwise would be. This is in order that I can get 6 gold and 2 experienced Praetorian cavalry. I want to maximise the cavalry advantage and hopefully be able to use it to destroy Gladius's army if possible. That is where I want to start the battle, but battles never really progress as you plan. They usually end up changing around a bit. So that was the general outline of my build in this battle. I believe AdmiralDB has gone with a typical 14-6 with an interesting Peeler shield lineup. I believe this is a good formation for trying to get certain Peeler hits in the right, certain Peeler to absorb certain Peeler screens to absorb all the Peeler. But any sort of reasonably skilled player should theoretically be using manual Peeler control for the most part with Peeler, so that really doesn't always work, but it does make it more tricky to get your guys into range to hit these guys in the back as these guys extend forward, so it is a useful formation. And then we have a look at Biscuits' army. I believe his army is consisting of 4 Cretan archers and the rest are Spartans, of course, and I think they are probably a mixture of gold, silver, or gold bronze, I'd say. Yeah, this is a good way to fight Carthage, although Carthage, if you're fighting Carthage with Greece, I tend to find the best build to be 12 gold Spartan hoplites and 3 gold armoured hoplites. But if he uses these archers right, you had to lower their morale. Now what I was also thinking in this fight, if possible, if I could use my cavalry to get into the flank of Carthage perhaps. However, that might not necessarily be very easy to do, but if Biscuits pins down Carthage and I'm able to get my cavalry into its flank, it will kill Carthage pretty quickly because it can't deal with taking that pressure from the Spartans on the front and cavalry into the flank. But it wouldn't be that excessively difficult for Spartan commander to just pull a few units off to block me from doing that. But I was open to the opportunity to do so if it was sort of going to arise during the battle. But for now, I've got the opponent I want opposite me here. I wanted to fight Gladius because I want to be able to see if I can get Gladius to expend some excessive amounts of Peeler and then use my superior cavalry and maybe a bit of fire arrow support from Biscuits or a bit of cavalry support from AdmiralDB to quickly steamroll him so we can outflank Macedon, and Biscuits will just tie down Carthage. That was the general sort of idea at the start of the battle, but as I said, these things never really go as how you plan them, so you do have to be open to the option to read the battlefield and go with it as it changes. So at this stage we've got Macedon in the middle, which is what I was expecting, and then Carthage and the Scipii on the flanks, which is good because as I said, I want to try and break the flank here with the Scipii Romans and Gladius. which will be good because it'll mean the companion cav will come over this way and try and support him most likely. Now we can see here that the Macedonians have got a good mixture of missile units, as does Carthage actually with the Balearic slings, which is interesting. If we can make use of these correctly, that would be dangerous. And this is going to work out to be pretty even with the Greek cities here, because Greece has done, or Biscuits has done, more or less the same thing just with Cretan archers. He's making to look a flanking action here. However, I pulled my cavalry back this way because I want to have them here ready for these guys, although I probably should have kept them out here just in case these guys made a rush move, but it's too far away to be that much of a risk, and Biscuits is just going to stay straight on at the moment. So at this stage we're mostly just moving in and planning stuff out. I do believe we had Steam chat for this one between me, Admiral and Biscuits, but I'm going to move up here like so. And as you can see, I've set my formation up with pillar screens now, but what's going to happen here in a minute, I do believe Gladius was going to shift. Yeah, he's going to shift now, interestingly enough, and they're going to put Macedon on the flank. However, that's not necessarily bad thinking. They've probably read that my infantry formation actually lacks infantry. I only have 12 urban cohorts, so that's actually not necessarily that big a deal, because Macedon will have 14 pikes and I will have less infantry to deal with it. I still have an infantry advantage, but it'll be more difficult to do it, basically, if he forms it right. But I still could do that, still take Macedon down, just be more tricky. But anyway, they're going to shift, which is an interesting move, but I guess they saw that, maybe they read how many upgrades I had on my cavalry here, and figured that I would be really gunning for Gladius here and trying to get a quick breakthrough of my cavalry. Anyway, I'm going to move in here. And at this stage we decide not to shift. I will just hold on against Macedon, and we'll probably lead the attack from the Spartans and AdmiralDB on this flank instead. Initially I'll try and do as much Pila damage as I can to Macedon, because Macedon is of course very vulnerable to Roman Pila, and basically what I want to do is just try and take as much numbers away from them as I can. Because Biscuits has brought some guys over here, what we did think, initially we were going to strike out over here, but we thought, Macedon's pretty vulnerable on the flank. If we can outflank Macedon, get some good cav hits in, get some good strikes in, Macedon's not too difficult to mass rout that way, because Macedon's morale is not that high. So what we thought to do here is to send Biscuits Spartans around here, see if we can pull off a few of these guys here to distract them, and then I can push forward with my urbans after I dump some Pila in. However, Gladius is going to reinforce over here, which does make this a little bit more tricky, but it's still a viable option. And what we're hoping to do is perhaps be able to use these Spartans to drive off any cavs, so I might be able to get a slice charge in with my upgraded cavalry and put a fire arrows down, or turn some flanks or anything like that. We're still trying to push here, because Macedon can be vulnerable on the flank if it gets outflanked itself. I still think they should have kept the Romans on the flank here and Macedon in the middle, as it would have slowed an approach there and drawn the fights to the flank, where they could have more predicted the battle. Anyway, at this stage I'm bringing up my urban cohorts, and I'm manualing Pila control, so bypassing this Pila screen so I can hit these guys in the back here. However, I made a mistake here. I should have pushed my guys forward further, because Biscuits Spartans are here, my guys are throwing at a bad angle. Watch what I mean? See how they flow really high like that instead of just throwing them flat trajectory? This makes Pila way less effective. So what I should have done here is I should have pushed my guys right up, or told Biscuits to move back. Didn't really notice it at the time though, and that's why that didn't work so well. Now you may be wondering why I'm also in loose formation when I'm fighting Macedon and I don't need loose formation. It's because Gladius has got his guys here, and if he decides to turn his Pila on, I'm in tight formation where I'm going to take a beating. So I guess at this stage I noticed that Biscuits was in front of me there, so I moved my guys forward like this, and he's moved out of the way anyway. So now they'll throw their Pila in a more flat trajectory, and you'll see that they'll do much greater damage as a result. As you can see, flatter trajectory, although they've got less Pila to throw now, but it'll enable them to kill more units anyway. So as you can see, Biscuits is making you push around here, and I'm going to see my cavalry around in a moment. And what I'm going to do is I'm also going to use my two Pila screens now that they've expended their Pila, which didn't work out very well, because as I said, they mostly threw them at too high trajectories there, because those infantry units were in front of them, and that didn't work out as well. But as you can see, we're going to try and push around. We're trying to see if we catch these guys out. Koda makes the wise move. He collapses his flank inwards to avoid that. See if he can draw us in. I'm going to bring up 3 more urbans. I'm just going to dump more peeler here. Get rid of more of these pikemen. Now this stage I see he's pulled this unit back, so I'm going to move in here and see if I can just start chipping away at this peeler screen here. Just because it's an easy kill. Once I take it out of the way, he'll have to pull up another unit for a peeler screen. Otherwise, I'll just have be able to use fire at will and just unload on any of them, any of the pikemen for free there. So here we can see these guys are going around now. Biscuits probably doesn't have enough pikes to deal with this many raw pikemen, so I'm going to bring these 2 guys around to support him here. And I got my cavalry in this general area to see if there's any openings that can become available. As you can see, the battle's not really happening anywhere else at the moment. I'm going to push here. I'll just pin these guys on the front here, and so I can just hit the side of these guys here. These guys are not really upgraded because they're a peeler screen, so it's not really a big deal. These guys have been throwing peeler, as you can see. These guys are we depleted. This one's down to 98. These other ones haven't been hit too bad, but they're going to now. As you can see, I'm going to get these. You see much more peeler coming in more directly this time round. Although I missed micro there, I didn't hit backspace fast enough. And that slowed me down a little bit. I'm going to pull back there. But Biscuits has gone quite far around here. I think he's overextended here. He should just stayed in front of these guys here because they don't want to overextend it, because we don't want to go too far around. We have a cavalry advantage, but we don't want to waste the cavalry advantage too soon. We should try and conserve the cavalry to the best moment in the battle. I'm just chipping into the sides of this peeler screen here, but I want to avoid engaging this pikeman on the front. I have to be careful with my infantry because I only have 12 of it. So I have to be careful. So I try catching some of these raw pikemen out of formation or in the side here. But good move from Gladius. He spots this and he's going to get a charge in on me. That was a good move. Biscuits charges in here, although he's not got his phalanxes down yet because he tried charging, so his formation's a bit crappy. But I managed to get my guys into a bit of a guard mode here. I'm trying to form just 2. I managed to hold that out. I've got these guys in here as well now. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm going to bring my cavalry in, see if I can get a nice slice charge into the side here on these guys here. This unit does hold, and I'm going to push them away. Now you can see if I just pause it here, Koda's making a nice move here. See what he's trying to do? He's trying to cut off Biscuits' Spartans here, and I believe they're going to start taking shots from Spartan commanders, Balearic slingers as well. And I can't really support them very easily here. And Koda's going to push more pikes up, so I can't outflank easy, but even so, this cav would push me back. So here I see that these guys are here, so I'm going to try and sandwich it from 2 sides to my cavalry. So I was going to charge through here to get it, and I'm going to push these guys into the back here like so. Get into the back of him, just like you can see here. And what I'm going to try and do is to get him to turn around and pull out of this. He's going to turn around to try and deal with it, and I get my other guys coming in from the other side, and I managed to mass rout a full unit of raw pikemen there right off the bat with basically no losses. So that worked out well. However, over here I've gone to Tudo, so what I'm going to try and do now is drive my way in, because if we look here, there's no raw pikemen behind these guys. So once I drive them in, I can mash this formation open, and I can drive forward and wheel it round, and AdmiralDB be able to push in on Gladius, which has been just a slow duel through the centre. Although theoretically, AdmiralDB could put pressure on on Gladius, because Gladius has got some of his infantry over here. But over here, as you can see, Biscuits' Spartans have gotten a bit isolated and cut off, and I'm doing my best to support them. But he's extended too far. That's why I think Biscuits shouldn't have gone quite that far around. He should have stuck to this area here and pushed through here. Would have been easier for me to cover him. So he's going to lose them. As you can see, Koda makes another nice move here. He's going to use a couple of pikemen to screen out my cav, and this time I really can't do anything to help these Spartans because I'm blocked. So this is a good move from him here. I perhaps could have tried a cavalry charge here. I might have been able to kill off another unit, but I don't think I actually spotted that, and he's using this unit to screen me out anyway. As you can see, I'm starting to wedge my way into these guys, so I'm going to try and burst the formations open soon. Not much happening on the other flank yet, just a bit of skirmishy. As you can see, Biscuits has brought his guys this way, and he's basically looking to get some flank shots on some of these guys through here, which is quite nice. But he's going to lose those Spartans. So that move did not work out well. I think we overextended too far around, and that worked out badly. These units here, I was shifting them along, but they've gotten snagged on the pike, so just to get them back. But you can see that Koda has extended his Macedonians and they're only on one singular line. So if we can breach these lines, we can break through Macedon pretty quickly here. Macedon's pretty vulnerable, and he's pretty thin too, in fact. He's actually too thin. He's only 3 deep there. You want to be at least 6 deep. 6 deep's the best depth for Royal Pikemen. I start taking some Peeler from Gladius here, which I didn't immediately spot. But if you look through here, I've actually burst this open here. But I mean, these guys are going to throw Peeler at me anyway. But thankfully, he's hitting the Testudo, which is still in Testudo formation. So that worked out alright. But I'm going to start dumping Peeler into these guys. There's not really much I can do about it at this stage. And I'm going to get lots of kills with my Peeler here. These guys are going to take a real pasting from the Peeler. And I can just let them auto here because I can just target these guys. Now, normally I wouldn't auto at all. And I could probably be targeting the Romans in the back there, but I want to break through these pikemen quickly. So these guys do take quite a number of Peeler damage, and these guys here are starting to get pretty beaten up because they're outflanked. However, I don't have, as I said, I mean, if we look at the amount of infantry, because I lost those 2 over there, I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and a couple of depleted. So about 10 depleted. Well, about 10 infantry with 2 of which are depleted. So as I said, because I got that power cavalry build, I don't have the same infantry power here. So pushing through, like, ordinarily I would be able to push through Macedon pretty easily, even with 12 infantry, but because Gladius has got about 4 or 5 urbans here and some cav nearby, I can't really do this, even if I'd like to. So I'm not going to. So all I'm going to try and do is get as many Peeler into Koda, and I'm going to wait for a better opportunity to take advantage of it. So I'm just going to try and distract here because our guys have got a superior infantry advantage going on over here. So if these guys make their breakthrough over here and I can stall and delay on the right, then I'm doing my bit, and I'm managing to hold back Koda's cav as well. So at this stage it's looking pretty good on the left though. So if we take a look over here, as you can see, Biscuits is pushing forward, and Gladius doesn't have all his infantry here, and he's taking Peeler as well, which is great. And as you can see, Carthage is getting outflanked here by AdmiralDB, and Carthage's build is designed to take the Spartans on the front. If it gets outflanked by Rome, it won't actually do that well, and that's a good thing for us. So if we look over here, what Biscuits is actually going to do is we're going to try and use AdmiralDB's infantry on the front to keep him occupied, and we're going to shift the Spartans and a few more guys onto the flank here, and hopefully try and overwhelm the Carthaginian infantry, because Carthage infantry can take, especially from Peeler damages, if it takes enough Peeler damage, then it can be a lot easier too, because unlike the Spartans, they don't have the 2 hit points, so they're not as strong against Peeler damage. I'm going to shift my guys back here. I'm just going to try and keep Koda occupied in here, and what you'll see in a moment is we're going to start seeing a little bit of a gap sort of wedging in here. So what we're going to try and do in a minute, and this is where I've named the thumbnail for, we're going to start working to try and split them apart. So we're going to try and start wedging things through this gap when it becomes more available to do so, so that Koda becomes cut off, so then Koda can be separated out later on, or these guys can be destroyed, then we'll take on Koda. It depends on how it develops. So as you can see, Spartan Commander is being turned. This is a good thing too, because it's turning him to these Cretan archers as well, which means he's getting shot in the flank as well. So we're trying to shift and use positional advantaging, or positional advantages to move people into areas we want. If you look at this battlefield, it's already littered with quite a few number of dead Sacred Band, and they've not really done anything yet. And Biscuits is around his flank. At this stage you see Koda's shifted in, cavalry this way, so I can start making aggressive moves on this flank if I do so with my own cavalry, and I can put pressure on this wing here, and if he does so, he's got no defense against this, so this is going to force Koda to bring his cavalry back, because I can strike this wing over here. Well, it's going to force Koda to box up even more, and that'll make him even easier to cut off from his allies, which is the plan here. So well, we see how thin, if we look at this area here, one of these Brawl Pikemen's already going. This area is really thin, so myself, I've been throwing a few Peeler here, and now I'm going to throw my guys in to support AdmiralDB, and we're going to just drive our way through these raw pikemen. Over here, as you can see, the companion cavalry getting forced back, and I am looking for any opportunity to get around here. I'm not yet confident enough to go around though, because if I come around here, I might get trapped, and not be able to completely withdraw myself before these guys got a counter charge on me, so I have to be careful of that. But if we look over here, these guys are really making a detour here, and what's happened is, you can see, because Biscuits is here like this, Koda's and just a very small part of Gladius's army is left now, because Gladius' army is split on this side, in the middle, and over here. So cavalry strikes coming in from Admiral on the weakened part of Koda, because Spartan commander has been driven away, as is the cavalry from Macedon, means that this is a very weak part of the battle. We're starting to split our opponents apart from each other, which is enabling us to divide them and conquer them individually, which is good for us and not for them. So some nice cavalry charges through here, of course, a few of these units to rout. And again, these units over here are getting flank shotted by the archers there, and that's working out nicely. So as you can see, Koda's now pushing out on this flank, so I'm just going to collapse back. There's really no need for me to do anything here. Koda's occupied just blocking me off here while we're winning here, so I don't need to do anything. I can just pull back and bide my time, wait for a breakthrough here, then put the pressure on. And that's the thing, sometimes you don't need to do stuff on the battlefield other than just be there to occupy your opponent's position while you're winning elsewhere, which is exactly what myself and AdmiralDB are doing here, while Biscuits is now getting in behind them here, as is Admiral. And this is the thing, Spartan Commander can't face Roman and Spartan, Urban Cohort and Spartans at the same time, but if he doesn't do something, this wing is going to get broken anyway. And as you can see, I made a breakthrough to charge up the side here, and Admiral's going to do the same thing from this side here, even though he's using most of his cavalry to do so. I've kept my cavalry in reserve over here just in case the companion cav come through. But as you can see, there are still a few pikes here, so we are losing a little bit, but there's not enough of them, and we are starting to break through here. As you can see, we've got a massive breakthrough here. So these guys, Koda's going to be forced to reinforce with more men here, which of course naturally weakens his defences over here, which allows me to put infantry around this way. Over here, if we look up in the middle, Biscuits is now pouring infantry in here, because AdmiralDB is getting a bit isolated. He's going to support him here. This is where Spartan Commander makes his move to push in here, which is good, but the problem is we've done the damage here, which means we're going to be able to free up infantry to go and help this area here. So Biscuits needs to be careful he doesn't get out of position here, because he will need a good number of Spartans to deal with the Sacred Band. As you can see, the companion cavalry are trying to come in here to get their counter charge, and they're going to get a pretty good charge in here, but going for the general's unit no doubt, but there's a lot of pikemen nearby. Needs to be very careful of this. And as you can see here, I'm starting to push into the flank of these Macedonian units, and once I've destroyed these guys, I'm going to really put the pressure down. As you can see, Gladius now makes his attack on my town watch of all things, so I'm going to get a counter charge on him with my more heavily upgraded cavalry. So I will definitely destroy Gladius's cavalry here. However, he's going to pour infantry on, so I need to pour my own infantry on, and I also haven't got all my cavalry here, but I'm going to get another charge into the side. But even with just 4 cavalry, I was still winning that fight, just because my upgrades are better. But I have to be careful about my cavalry actions here, because Koda is here as well. So this is where my extra upgraded cavalry is going to become in handy, because it's going to be able to take on these 2 groups of cavalry by itself much better than regular gold would do. All the while, as you can see, Biscuits and AdmiralDB have broken, well, they've tied down Spartan Commander, but they're about to outflank him, and they've got AdmiralDB's cav on the other side for outflanking. Over here, as you can see, these guys have broken through Koda's general, and I'm just mopping up and tying down everything else. So I'm going to be able to either come and support this, or wrap around and hit these guys in the back with my infantry here. But I just need to be careful, because I could still lose my side, because you could remember, take into account I only have 10 infantry at the moment, and they have more cavalry than me, but again, my upgrades are going to count, and I'm going to have some fire arrow support from Biscuits, which is good. And Koda overextends here, so I'm going to get a counter charge on him, hit him from several sides. Again, my cavalry is much more heavily upgraded, so I can take any individual cavalry fight like this and win it. And I have enough infantry support coming in here to enable me to hold this out. As you can see, I start to rout Gladius's cavalry over here, and the Macedonian cavalry routes as well. So I was actually able to repel both cavalry of Koda and Gladius. So that was 12 cavalry I was able to repel then, just because my cavalry was really well upgraded, and I had a bit of extra infantry support with a few fire arrows. All the while, Spartan Commander is now completely surrounded by Spartans and by Brutii urban cohorts here. There is still a few raw pikemen left, but as you can see on my side, I've mopped up the remainder of the raw pikemen, and I've won the cavalry fight as well. So I'm going to start pouring infantry on this side. As you can see, a rear charge coming through here. Spartan Commander's doing his best to turn units around to stop this, but at this stage, the sheer weight of numbers his guys are fighting and the fact that they're completely surrounded, it's going to work against him, and he mass routes, and he knows he's lost anyway, so he admits defeat. Or that might have been Koda admitting defeat. Actually, no, it's not Koda. It was that was Spartan Commander. So he's completely surrounded. These poor Carthaginian sacred bands really have no way out. So they're all going to get massacred. And at this stage, I believe Macedon has got a couple of units left, and he just admits defeat. So as you can see, we really sort of dominated the pacing of the battle. You know, positional wise, we put all the position on the battlefield. It was still only an average victory. It wasn't like it was a complete stomp or anything. Our opponents did fight well in their specific areas, but they probably didn't. They reacted too much, you know, especially on that left wing there with that flanking action by Biscuits and AdmiralDB. As you can see, AdmiralDB has done very well with 1,600 kills. I've made a nice 1,200, and Biscuits just clocked over 1,000 there. But as you can see, we're just driving that flank around. They were reacting to all our movements, and we got that nice move there through the sort of centre phase of the battle. We were able to cut Koda off from Spartan Commander and Gladius, which enabled them to be destroyed. They also made, they were desperate. They made the right move to attack me. I think they should have put more pressure down on me because I only had 10 urban cohort. Now I did have very upgraded cavalry, but what they did is they left it too late, where a lot of their infantry had been destroyed, and they only really had cavalry left, and I was able to use my cavalry to get both counter strikes both times. I was actually able to take out both of Koda and Gladius's cavalry on my own, and that was because my extra strong upgrades on my cavalry. But if they'd used their cavalry combo earlier on me and only my 10 infantry, I might have struggled to actually be able to hold that back. Even though I probably would have killed most of their cavalry doing so with my own cav, I probably still would have lost just because of my lack of infantry. But again, I was able to use my infantry to support my cavalry as well, which boosted their extra upgrade bonus there, which is the point. You know, you really want to use your infantry to beef up your cavalry and vice versa as much as possible. Anyway, a great game to everyone here. Let's have a look at my stats. Cavalry's done pretty well, given that it did very well. It didn't get a lot of kills, but it did mass rout both groups of cavalry, which was good. And some of these urbans have done quite well. I've got a lot of good peeler shots on Macedon in this battle. Worked out pretty well, considering I only had, I believe it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think it's about 12. And so, again, a couple of them got wrecked pretty early on in the fight because we tried that little flanking action on Macedon, which they repelled very well. I take my hat off there. They did very well on that. But good game to everyone. These guys have only Gladius has breached 1,000. These guys are a bit under. Now, I believe several people have channels here. I know Biscuits does, of course, so I'll link Biscuits. Absolutely outstanding channel, so be sure to drop by and check it out. I'm sure you already know about it, though. Spartan Commander as well, another excellent 31k player. He does the official Brotherhood stuff. I'll link him as well. Koda does as well. And I think even AdmiralDB does now, although I'm not entirely sure what it's called. I'll have to find that out. So quite a bit of channels there to be linking, so be sure to drop by and check those out, guys. I'm sure they're all fantastic. Well, I know Biscuits and Spartan Commander and Koda are, and I'm sure Admirals is as well. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. It was a fun battle. Please leave comments. Tell me what you think. Hopefully it was entertaining for you. Hope you enjoyed the commentary. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comment section, and I'll do my best to ask. Thanks again, guys, and I'll see you soon next time.